I work 3 different markets, actually, in 3 different states. I try to book 15 to 20 appointments a week.
I've never seen you, George, without your glasses.
It's kind of like Clark Kent and Superman.
Recording. All right. Hey, welcome to the monthly PTP Groups kickoff call. Thank you guys for hopping on. I am Nate Maddox, your host. Very excited about today's call. We've got some cool guests. We've got some numbers to go over with everybody. First thing we'll do is just kind of kick it off with the leaderboard. I want to give a big kudos and congratulations to everybody that went out there last month and made things happen. We just got off the PSI national call with Jared Ewing, and our crew, PTP Groups, was number one in his national, in the PSI national agency last month. So congratulations, everybody. As far as where we stacked up with Equus Financial National Company, we're still locking in the top 10. I think we're number 9 or something like that. So trying to inch our way up. You guys are absolute pros. So really appreciate everything you guys are doing. So here is the leaderboard for the month of May. So kicking it off, we've got Mr. Jason Tyner, one application, $891, and we're going to be going over uncapped paid annual premium. These numbers are paid out. You guys have gotten deposited on these. These are, you might have written more in the month. Some of it's going to be issuing into this next month, but these are the numbers that have issued and paid out before the month of May ended. Okay. So Mr. Kyle Evans, congratulations, buddy. $2,551. This is your first official month on the leaderboard as a qualified Equus rep, dude. So we just actually spent some time with Kyle and his team in Charleston, South Carolina. They've got a lot of exciting things happening. You know, he's building a team over there. A lot of awesome people joining up. So I'm really looking forward to, what's to come and you guys and what you have going on over there. Miss Stephanie Owens, $4,260 paid last month. Myself, $7,400. Miss Kimberly Crosby, tortoise in the hair, my friend. Miss Consistent. Kimberly issued before the month was over $14,800. A great month, Kim. GEORGE ROUMELL, our guest on the call today, 17,237 issued, and it looks like a lot more probably rolling over this week. Let's see, Mr. David Begley, number 3 for the month. David Begley, $21,668 in uncapped paid AP. Mr. Christian Pounder, $41,000, 785. So that's paid uncapped AP. And in this category of uncapped paid AP, we got a new number 1, Mr. Brad Schmidt, who issued $60,684 in uncapped paid AP. So congratulations, Brad. A lot of those numbers are, definitely from what you guys, David and Brad, are doing with the referral team. I think we were looking at the numbers when we were doing that meeting in Charleston. And correct me if I'm wrong, David, but I believe that, there's been an additional $100,000 of income to the people on our team, split up by or $93,000, something like that, has been paid out, to the collectively over all of us for what you guys have done, working our referrals and helping our clients pay off their debt. So, really, really appreciate you guys for everything that you're doing. Like always, I'm going to kick it over to the referral team to hear what's going on in you guys' world. What's happening, Mr. David Begley?
Yeah, so we just had, like you mentioned too, we had a great business overview meeting and training session in Charleston, out in Kyle Evans' neck of the woods, Brad Schmidt's neck of the woods as well. Before that, we were out there because we were meeting with a group called the Crown Leadership Academy. They're a private faith-based school group. They don't have any kind of a benefit set up. And so through the relationships that Brad has built over this past year, we've met with the school president, founder, over the past month or so, and the school board, and we came out just to present Debt Free for Life to them, tell them about other resources we had. Good news, this is hot off the presses. The first appointment that we've had with anyone from that meeting is a submitted application. So I'll be putting that one in here shortly. So far 1 for 1, which is a nice start.
I like that. I like that. Sorry.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. No, we've got other groups we're meeting with this month. We're meeting with the leadership group for a company out on the West Coast. I had another great conversation with some clients of mine, told them about the Crown meeting. And we're doing a lot of good things, but as it pertains to this call, I want to give a couple shout outs. One is to Kimberly Crosby, no surprise there. Kimberly has, I haven't gotten any new referrals from Kimberly in a while. So Kimberly, I know you can't hear me right now, but let's change that. The reason I'm mentioning her though is because of what she did months ago, frankly. She's still getting business out of it. And what do I mean by that? So Debt Free for Life case written, paid 2 days ago actually for her. And that same client though, we explore everything that we have. And we have a lot, y'all. We have a whole lot when it comes to retirement solutions, debt elimination. And there's another piece of business going on that's already been approved, it's issued, and it's much bigger than the first one. So we do a lot of work on the back end for a lot of people. I know that Brad, in fact, is we just had an appointment today where I passed it off to him. Some retirement stuff came up, and I said, hey, look, let me connect you with Brad. So there's another agent out there somewhere that's going to be making money off of just making a good introduction.
So for those that are newer, don't quite understand what we're talking about with that, like with what Kimberly, referred a case to you, just recap real fast what the referral program looks like in a snapshot.
So yeah, if you meet with someone for, say, you got a mortgage protection appointment, you go through your client worksheet. Your client worksheet has their mortgage information on there. It's got, hey, do you have anything else that acts like insurance? Changed jobs recently? Asking simple questions like that. For their mortgage, hey, would you be interested in paying off your mortgage quicker? Are you doing anything to pay off your debt quicker? All it takes from there is to set up an introduction with myself, Brad. Nate has videos on his website on exactly how to set up those introductions. There are also links to our calendars. It could not be easier to do. And for 5 minutes of your time, it can be a very profitable introduction. Nate, that was long-winded. I'll give it back to you.
Thank you, David Begley. And what he was mentioning with you, whenever we having the opportunity to set a referral into their calendar and refer one of our clients or someone we know to them for one of these more advanced products, they do the application, meet with the client, finalize everything, and do a 50-50 split with the referring agent. So whenever David said, 5 minutes could be very profitable, a full 50% is what they do for us. So, like I said before, David, thank you guys for everything you do. I'm excited. We've got a pretty, incredible guest today, which I'm looking forward to introduce in a minute. But I just wanted to recap a couple things for some of you that may not have been able to catch Jared Ewing on the PSI groups call we just had earlier this morning. He was talking about we're kicking off, the busiest time of year. And these next, I made mention of it last month, kicking off May, selling season, if you will. But these next few months, as I've mentioned before, as you heard Jared say about an hour ago, man, a lot of people we see make like half of their month of their annual income during this next session, and then sometimes in the final quarter of the year. So he was talking about ways to put yourself in position to win and execute during this next few months. And he had a couple points that he made, and I just wanted to recap with those in case you missed that, so you can take some notes. And one thing that he mentioned, which if you're in the Charleston meeting, we talked about, is just the power of taking notes. And I don't care, if I'm in a meeting and you see me in a meeting, in the Charleston meeting, I was taking notes. You know, even if you know the content, the I don't care if you take the notes and you throw them away in the trash can on the way out the door, but just you translating, the content that you're hearing into your own thoughts and putting it on paper, something happens in your brain whenever you do that. So, taking notes is very powerful. And those of you that missed it, I'll give you a couple tips that he shared on the call a few minutes ago. One is another thing we've been talking about: planning in advance. Knowing what your goal is for this month or this next 60 days, and having a plan, knowing, what your leads are, what your schedule is, what days you're running, protecting your dial time, all of that stuff goes into planning in advance. Have a script. Don't just be shooting from the hip. On our team, luckily, we've all collected our total experience and kind of boiled it down step by step for you. Just follow the script until you've got it down and you're running successfully, and then you can personalize it and make it your own. 10 dials equals 1 appointment. These are some things I'd like to talk to our guest about as well, like managing lead flow. Okay, managing lead flow doesn't mean buying all the leads you can necessarily. Sometimes it means backing up your leads in certain areas, or buying more older leads, to run those appointments that the people say they already bought, because hey, they're already bona fide buyers, and all we have to do is find value. They already know their budget, and we've got a pretty big arsenal of products that most people don't have. So whenever they've bought something, those are pretty easy, if you get good at overcoming that objection, to just go in and show them, all right, well, their budget's $112. I did one last week. He was paying $98 a month, and I just showed him a little better value for the same $98. He's already proven to be a buyer. So, managing lead flow, and then tracking your numbers, which we talk about a lot. So those are just a couple tips from the other call. If you missed that, I'm excited to, be able to introduce you guys to our guest. A lot of you know him, but some of you newer people haven't gotten the chance and the pleasure to meet Mr. George Roumell or get to hang out with him. Us that have been around for a while, we call him the Renaissance Man. He's that guy that was on the Dos Equis commercials, was actually mirrored after George Roumell. He was just too busy, to be able to do those commercials. So he is definitely the most
interesting man.
Yeah, the most interesting man in our crew for sure. But George has been with us for a long, long time. He's always, he's been top 20 personal producer in the country, just about every single year. Big income earner with us. And he's just very consistent like clockwork. I was looking at your numbers, George. $20,000 is basically his baseline issue paid every single month, and has been for a long, long time. So without further ado, Mr. George Roumell.
Hey, wow. Well, thanks for that big introduction there, Nate. I don't know about all of that, but all I know is just, trying to every day, learn and try to get better. And like you said, be consistent, and to take the principles really that have been taught to us since I began. And I'm pretty much, keep it simple and sticking to what you've taught us, and the main thing being the main thing.
Awesome, George. Well, look, so a lot of people haven't, gotten to meet you, like I mentioned. So why don't we start with, when did you first come on with us? How did that happen? Maybe touch on how that happened, when that happened, how long you've been with us, and what was your background prior to this? Have you ever been in the insurance business before, or done anything in financial services, etc.? Let's start there.
Yeah. Well, main thing is I'd never been in the insurance business before. No. It was actually, of course, through your brother Matt. We had worked together at another company, and that company had disbanded. and but we stayed in contact, and then he had contacted me about this opportunity, and I'm just one of those people that always listen when people want to share something with you. You know what I mean? And so I kind of met you, Nate, and David, and Christian, and we all kind of learned, together, and ran with each other and bounced things off of each other. And so my background I'd kind of been in the car business before. I started my own companies in 2003, supplying car dealers with products and services, finance, and warranty related type things, which we still have that going today. And then, but I was always intrigued by the insurance business. I was always intrigued by, something to where, you could have residual values. You could build a company, and you could add agents and have overrides, and build yourself a future income while you could make a good living daily while you're building something for the longer term.
Well, you've definitely done that, my friend. So as it sounds like, you mentioned my brother Matt, and I know how you got here. But sounds like when Matt got started, like most of us, he saw the opportunity there, and I know that he did, and went through. We went through different people that he called, and you were somebody that Matt put on his list for me to reach out to.
Yep.
And me and I think Eric Bolin reached out to you. Is that you remember
Yep,
that?
that's how it was.
How long
Actually,
ago was that? That was 2016, right?
yeah, that was 2016.
Okay.
I was at the first Equus convention in Indianapolis when there was only 185 of us at that point. Kind of dabbled along in the beginning, uh, which I don't recommend. Jumped in and out of it, a little bit. But once I made the commitment to do it and apply the principles that, don't reinvent the wheel kind of thing. And I'm really good about, if somebody says walk with a limp, I'll walk with a limp, at the doing whatever the guys that are making it, trying to mirror them, be a good parrot, just don't try to, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Do what the training tells you to do, and do it consistently.
2016. What year did you make what was your year, your kind of breakout year that you earned your first six figures solely from this business?
Probably around 2018.
2018. Okay.
Probably 2018 by the time I was in it.
Still had your other businesses and stuff going on. Okay. Well, very cool, George. Well, look, man, anybody that pays attention to the leaderboards, has seen your name a lot. They haven't gotten to see your face so much. So the reason I wanted to have you on was one, to kind of show everybody who's hiding up there, going and running business in Detroit. You kind of take our excuses away. So let's get into that a little bit. Jared mentioned managing lead flow. You run primarily face to face, I think, for new leads, and only more so do virtual for like follow up stuff, and current business, client retention, and writing new business on old clients, that sort of thing.
Yep.
So let's talk about your lead flow a little bit, and let's talk about where you don't have to get real specific where you run. Although I doubt anybody's going to try to go buy the leads in Detroit and strap a revolver on and go door knocking out there with you. But talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, so as far as lead flow goes, I'm looking. I work 3 different markets, actually, in 3 different states. Okay, and I kind of alternate those markets. One week I'm here, one week I'm there, one week I'm at the next place. I'm trying to, per market, I'm trying to get 25, A leads. When I say A leads a week, I let them sometimes accumulate, but by the time I go to that next market, there should be at least 25 A leads there. And then when I go to the next market, so I'm always trying to do that. I beat leads to death. I grind them in the ground and till I've done everything I can do. And if they're a handwritten lead, then, I'm going to door knock, the handwritten ones for sure. If I have time, I'll do the IVR leads as well. But, I work them and work them and work them and work them until I can't get them
So
anymore.
sounds like 25 A leads is kind of your nut, and you run 3 different markets. So, I mean, even if you were to go outside of that market, you're kind of in a routine there. But it sounds like you're looking for at least 25 A leads in one area if
Right.
you're going to travel there and run
Correct.
face-to-face business.
Right.
So even if you saw 25 leads on a map over in the middle of Illinois or something, was that something that is that kind of your minimum to go on a run, if you will?
Yeah, I guess how I really look at it is I need that to get. I try to book 15 to 20 appointments a week. And if on a perfect week, I dial on Monday and I'm done by Thursday. I'm trying to get the same amount done in a 3-day period instead of just trickling around and running 2 or 3 every day of the week. I want to get my calls in. I want to book my days tight. This might turn some new people off, but I'm a grinder, man. I mean, the last several weeks, I'm not getting home until midnight. First appointment might be 9 in the morning, 8 in the morning, whenever the people are available. I've done them at 6 in the morning. I've done them on the tailgate of trucks and in the milking barns of a dairy farm. Whatever it takes. That's whatever I got to do. If I get a hold of that person, I'm going to try to book them now, just because I don't know when I'll be able to get a hold of them again.
Yeah, it sounds like you have and I know you do the whatever it takes mindset. And hey, you say, hey, that might run some people off. Well, good. I mean, people don't have to run, that exact strategy, but, a lot of the new people that I talk to, and, a lot of people coming on just on a part-time basis right now, working around their jobs and stuff. I mean, they want time, they want freedom. And I haven't met anybody that wouldn't want to consecutively, you know, issue $20,000 a month. That's pretty good income, pretty good living, even at a 70% contract. And you can look at the the guidelines first thing on our website and see what the promotion guidelines is and do the math. Okay, if I'm doing 20,000 a month, what is my contract rate? So
You and David and Christian and a few of them have known me for a long time. You also know that I'm a chronic vacationer. You
yeah,
know, so I was gone 5 days into the Upper Peninsula over Memorial Day. Up there, I came back and worked 2 3 days. Was able to write about 7,000. The week before I went was a short week. I was able to write about 10,000, or at least submit 10,000. And then I spent these last Friday through Sunday at the Detroit Grand Prix. So that was a short week after the Memorial Week, and you just gotta you gotta plan to work and work the plan. And I had to jam a lot more in to fewer days over the last several weeks because of other things.
well, that's why one reason you do this. You
That's
like to
right.
be able to go do whatever you want to when you can, and if you have a plan ahead like George, and whenever you're in work mode, that's the thing about George is when he's in work mode, when he's out, I try to call him, I can't get him. He's in mode. He's not halfway working whenever he's got to work that day. And then whenever he's playing and at the racetrack or whatever it is he's doing, he's not halfway present there thinking about work. He leaves everything on the field when he's in the field, and he enjoys both. I mean, I'll try to call him 2 or 3 times and can't get him, and then he'll call me back, and I'm thinking, hey, George is calling me back for what I wanted to talk to him about. And I'll answer, and he says, hey, Mr. Maddox, thank you for taking my call. Which, if he says that, I know he's in with an appointment. So he's calling me from the appointment. That's one thing about George. He's a top producer, high income earner with us. But he calls me, very regularly from the appointment. So we're about to wrap up, George. A couple things. I know each of your journeys. That's my, I get the luxury of knowing everybody looks at you now, or looks at Christian now, or looks at Begley now, and you guys are absolute pros in the business. They look at you and they really want to have the incomes you guys have and the lifestyles you guys have, but they didn't see the beginning part, and like that's the part that not everybody's willing to go through, because you didn't just know this stuff. I didn't just know that. We all had to kind of learn this together, as you said. And the ones that don't quit, they're the ones that get the reward. So from a new person standpoint, George, let's talk. Why don't you talk on why and how to make a phone call while you're still in an appointment, to call somebody, why you do that, and kind of how you do it. If you could give one tip or try to boil down one thing, with your current vantage point, would help somebody else that is just getting started and just starting to go through, the process of developing that consistent cash flow, because that's what we're all looking for, is that consistency in cash flow.
Okay. Well, the first question is, you asked, when I do call on my resources, no matter how long I've been doing this. When I'm unsure and I want a second opinion on underwriting, that's usually when I'll call you. You got to do it right. You got to get your underwriting down. And if you don't have it, or you're unsure, then you got to call your upline. You got to call your managers. You got to call somebody and just say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. But when I do it is after I've done my worksheet, I've done the client worksheet and I got all my information down, and I'm kind of looking through the underwriting guide, and just sometimes it's just not cut and dried. So I just say, hey, I'm looking at this. What are you thinking? And a lot of times it saves me from putting an application and it's not going to get approved. Okay. So use your resources, especially when you're new. You should be calling on every customer, whether you automatically know it or not. You should be calling on every customer. You got to protect your dial time. You got to plan to work and work the plan. It should be as consistently as you can every week at the same times. You need to tell your family that during this time, I'm not here. I'm going to lock that door, and you better be bleeding if you come and disturb me, because the worst thing that happens in this business is when you're independent, every other thing takes you away from it. I don't feel like dialing. So, oh man, I got to rearrange my sock drawer or something like that. Always looking for different things. So plan to work, pick your days for the most part as consistently as you can, the hours you're going to operate. Make sure your family and the people around you know it, so that you're not getting bothered, so you can get your appointments made. Listen to the videos. When I'm out, like Nate says, he can't reach me a lot of times that I'm running the field. Well, I'm trying to run appointments back to back to back to back. So I'm racing from one appointment to the other appointment pretty much all the time. And I don't even really have the radio on. I'm in the zone. I'm concentrating on what my mindset is. If I'm listening to anything, I'm listening to a podcast. I'm listening to a sales, podcast or whatever, just to keep my mind, because I want to stay on track. And without that, you kind of get sloppy. So, and the only way to build momentum is you got to consistently work your schedule. And my schedule, pretty much everybody knows my schedule is pretty much the same. My family, they know I'm dialing all day, pretty much Monday. I'm running Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and whatever downtime I have when I'm out in the field. If I got an hour or two, I'm pulling over somewhere and I'm cranking through the ones that I haven't got a hold of yet. So don't quit is the number one thing, and work your plan and your hours that you're going to work consistently.
Awesome, man. Thank you, George, for hopping on, man. I know you're dialing today. Really appreciate you coming on, sharing some of your insights and hindsight, serving the team. We're just now getting the halfway mark to the year. You're sitting at right at 100,000 paid this year. So, the first half of the year is always smaller than the second half of the year. It seems right now is when we kick off. We're just kind of putting ourselves in position this first and second quarter, and then now it's go time. So hope you guys, took notes and learned as much as you could from George. What I got out of it was be consistent, work your plan, have a plan. When you're in the fight, be 100% in the fight, protect your dial time. When you're dialing, that's all you're doing. Tell your family whatever you have to do, and work your plan. So, guys, this is a great time to hop in, to get really your momentum going into business. If you're new, a lot of people right now, due to the economy, are looking for extra streams of income, extra revenues of income. Introduce them to us, put them on the calls, let them check us out. It is what it is. This thing's no better than it is. But for people like George, who have already had successful businesses, many different businesses, people are looking, and if we wouldn't have called George, we would have never met him. Keep that in mind. I'm available for that, to help develop your agency business development. We've got a whole crew of people here. We're a really tight-knit group. We want to help you. We want to see you win. And let's go blow up the second part of this year. So great month last month. You guys have a plan, know your goal, have a strategy for June, and let's make the most of it. Let's get some momentum early in this month. So thank y'all for hopping on. Look forward to seeing you soon, and I'll see you on the leaderboard.